Councillors, officers and members of the public, welcome to the Wednesday the 15th of November 2023 Development Assessment Committee. I will now open the meeting with the present and apologies. I can confirm that all councillors are in attendance this evening except for Councillor Edwards, who has put in an apology, yes? Yes? Thank you. I'll move to item 3, recording of the minutes. In accordance with Moorabool Shire's Council governance rules, the Council will be recording and live streaming this meeting. Item 4 and 5, confirmation of minutes and matters arising from previous minutes. Councillors, are there any matters arising from the previous minutes?
Minutes be received.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Berry. Any dissent? All those in favour? Carried. I'll move to item 6, disclosure of conflicts of interest. Councillors, does anyone have a conflict of interest to declare? No? We'll move to item 7, community planning reports. Councillors, we will now move on to item 7.1, buildings and works associated with an existing office, waiver of 1 car parking space, business identification signage and removal of vegetation at 4132 Inglis Street, Balan. We have one speaker to the item. Mr James Robson has registered to speak. Mr Robson, you can take your chair. Just press the mic when you're ready to switch on. You'll have 3 minutes to present to Council, and once you have finished, councillors will have the opportunity to ask you questions. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. James Robson's my name and I'm acting for the applicant associated with this proposal. Unfortunately, the proponent's not available to attend this evening. So for the most part, my client has no issues or concerns with the officer's recommendation report as it relates to the proposed minor extension to an existing commercial building in central Balan. This is a minor extension of an existing structure of approximately 32 square metres. We say that there will be minimal impacts from both a visual perspective and from an infrastructure perspective as a result of the proposed works. Proposed car parking waiver of 1 car parking space has also been assessed as being minimal in nature and we say is appropriate in the circumstances. Similarly, the proposed vegetation removal is minimal. My client has, however, requested that Council reconsider the imposition of recommended conditions 1A and 1B. Condition 1A would require that the above awning sign be removed from the plans, whilst condition 1B requires amending the security film surrounding the ATM to a colour in line with the building facade. The signage proposed as part of this application simply proposes to replace existing signage on the building. We understand that existing signage has been in place for around about 10 years or thereabouts. Council have raised issue with the above awning sign, suggesting that it will cause visual clutter within the streetscape. My client disputes this assertion as the placement of signage in that location already exists, as well as many other businesses within the Inglis Street precinct also having above awning signage. We point to the local IGA, UFS, Balan Bakery, the fruit shop and others in that precinct. We say that the neighbourhood character of the precinct already includes many examples of similar signage. We also note that the security film proposed surrounding the ATM is already in situ at the bank's current location across the road. We're simply shifting this existing ATM surround from one site to another. Again, we say that the existing neighbourhood character within the precinct includes this signage already. On this basis, we request that Council reconsider the imposition of conditions 1A and 1B. Thank you.
Thank you, James. I will ask councillors if they have any questions for Mr Robson. Councillor Tatchell.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation with an amendment that items 1A and 1B be deleted from the conditions.
Thank you, Councillor Tatchell. I'll just go around the room and see if there was any other questions for Mr Robson. Councillor Berry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Mr Robson, I'm just looking at the picture on page 10 And it shows a tree with no leaves at the moment, so it's a deciduous tree?
There's two very small, I can't remember the exact name of the species, in the backyard. They're just planted small shrubs more than anything in the rear yard that are proposed to be removed. Are you referring to the street tree?
The street tree in front of the sign.
Yes, so that's a deciduous tree. It's a oak, I believe.
So a lot of the year there'd be the green leaves covering.
Correct.
Probably not be able to see the sign.
I would have to revisit the site to double check. Are you referring to the one on Fiskin Street or English Street?
I'll just show you. It's right in front.
Oh,
the
yes.
tree right
Yeah,
in front.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, once that's grown, it's likely that it would cover that signage for a portion of the year. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
From certain points of view.
Thank you.
Councillor Tatchell, you have another question?
Just regarding the tree, that the current rule is 1.5 metres for potential growth on those trees that we planted there under the power core rules. So it would have to always be cut at a certain height because it needs to be half a metre allowance for 2 years' growth, which you can't do anyway, but just so we clarify that point.
Thank you, Councillor Tatchell. Is there any other questions?
Just a question.
Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr Robson, in your presentation you noted that there was similar signage in other buildings. Was that sort of furnished into council? Because that doesn't sort of form part of what we have, and I'm just curious as to what those examples you cited were like.
So we've prepared tonight's submission based on the officer's report, which we only saw on Friday. So they're just examples that I've looked at in preparing for tonight's meeting.
I get
So they didn't form part of our application.
I guess, you know, like just sort of when they're being noted, and then not to have us able to see it. I'm not quite sure whether officers actually have that information, but I think it would be useful to know, is this similar, or is it going to create a precedent or not? That's my concern in the streetscape. Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Ward.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This is a question for officers. The proposed above awning sign, is that to replace an existing sign?
Yeah, so through the chair, that above awning sign is a replacement. So new colours and, of course, identifying the particular business activity.
You can take your seat in the gallery. Thank you. Okay, councillors, we have a mover of an alternate on the recommendation to remove condition 1A and B. Do I have a seconder for the motion? I have a seconder, Councillor Ward. Any dissent? All those in favour? Carried.
I would assume all the renumbering would then sort of apply to the notice of decision.
Yes, that does. Thank you. That deletes condition 1A and B and therefore brings that up to repositioning of the numbers. Thank you. I'll move to item 8, update of trends, issues and other matters. I will now ask the Executive Manager of Community Planning and Development for any updates for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No updates.
No updates. Thank you. Item 9, updates of VCAT decisions. Mr Bazout, now, do you have any updates on the VCAT decisions for the committee?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've got a quick update, so I'll hand over to Mr Lavelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, so through the chair, we've got no new decisions made. We do have one new appeal lodged this week, and that was Manly Brown Coal against the Rural Workers Accommodation Notice of Decision, so that will come up to a forthcoming hearing.
Thank you, Mr Lavelle. Item 10, other business. Councillors, do you have any other business you would like to raise? I will go around the room. Councillor Sullivan.
No, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Ward.
No, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Tatchell.
Just a question, Madam Mayor. On a previous item we'd had some time ago in Blakeville, there was a proposed subdivision that had a paper road, and of course the issue, of course, was the paper road couldn't be purchased, and under the current state government, it can't be purchased. I mean, everything's on the stop. And of course, the only way out of that was to restrict the size of the subdivision to either add to one side or reduce the other. And I'm aware that they've been back talking to planning about how we can get around these problems. We're also aware that under the treaty and RSA agreements, it'll probably be highly unlikely that that property will ever be able to be subdivided under the current conditions, especially when there's a stop work anyway. And I'm sure once treaty and RSA goes through, it'll actually be physically impossible because it's a paper road. But we still need to acknowledge that Blakeville is part of our region, and I'm sure these problems will come up in the future. So I suppose I'm just highlighting the fact that we've got a number of paper roads. We have a number of these small villages and towns in our region, and we certainly need to come up with a solution. I think it's imperative that we get this rural study out so that we can actually, I know we've got a future amendment coming for the planning scheme, but it'd be very handy if we could actually have that attached to it so that so we have the capacity. Some of these small towns could potentially die if we don't get on the front foot and get in front of the curve. And I think that one's a very good example of the bureaucracy of state government interfering with the planning of local government, interfering with the planning of just being able to have a capacity to make changes for the betterment of the region. So I don't know, that's not really a question, it's just to bring it up as an urgent thing I think we need to look at this year.
Thank you, Councillor Tatchell.
Thank you.
Thank you for adding that. Councillor Berry, do you have any other business?
No other business, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Councillor Dudzik.
No other business, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sorry. Okay, we'll move to item 11, date of next meeting. The next Development Assessment Committee meeting is scheduled for Wednesday the 13th of December 2023. Item 12 is meeting closed. Thank you, councillors, officers and members of the public for a quick meeting and for attending this evening. I declare this meeting closed. Thank you.